Howdy gentlemen, I hope you've had a great day today. Today we're going to be talking about a very serious topic, guys. I've done a lot of research on this. Now, MGTOW gave me a great topic request on the emails about saying about how feminism has created subcultures like MGTOW and how feminism and women misrepresent MGTOW as a man-hating culture. But I did some research on the internet, and when I did this research I found out about who funded feminism, how feminism was brought about, second wave feminism in the 1960s, and it led me to the Rockefellers. So I did a lot of research onto this, and it's a very scary thing because the Rockefellers, guys, well, you think I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to show you some books after this video, and I've got a lot of documented information. But the Rockefellers are like a banking cartel. They're one of the most powerful families, elite Illuminati families in the world, right? And the Rockefellers are the most powerful family in America. They control vast amounts of wealth, and they have a lot more power than the president. Now, people think, oh, the president's got more power than this elite family. No, he hasn't. The president is just a puppet. But I have to show these books afterwards, guys, because I know it sounds a bit conspiratorial, but if you guys do the research into the Rockefellers, it's a very disturbing past. I mean, the Rockefellers have so much influence and power into media, into corporations, and into the banking system. And I found this out because when I was doing this research for MGTOW, I came across this as well about how feminism was funded, why it was created, and what the whole goal of it is. And it is very disturbing, guys, because let's face it, a lot of these fucking Illuminati people are like Baphomet worships, the Luciferians, they worship Satan, the Satanists, they have high pedophile rings in the higher elite rings. And I'll have to tell you about these books afterwards, guys, because it's shocking. You know, I've done a lot of research into Rockefellers because the Rockefellers formed the Bilderberg Group, and the Bilderberg Group's another secret organisation which forms the round table on all our international politics, which is very deep. And so I thank you, Maggie Alpha One, for giving me this topic request, because you helped me stumble onto something very important. So somebody else asked me to do a topic about feminism and MGTOW, but I fell onto this information, which is really important. So I'm going to get into this topic, guys, because it's very important, and we do need to expose these criminals, because I feel like with the channel now, I'm going further and further out into red pill philosophy and really branching out now, and it's taking me to different dots that I'm connecting in society with red pill philosophy. So I'm really going to get into this. And just to let you know, guys, when I do next month, when I start doing teaching you guys about debts and assets, how to get out of debt, how to manage money, I'm going to have a massive board. I'm going to be doing graphs. I'm going to be showing you guys exclusively, and then we're going to be going even heavier than that, guys, because we're going to be talking about fractional reserve banking, how the banking systems use your money and create money out of thin air. Fractional reserve banking, we're going to talk about how banks create booms and busts, how they cause recessions, and how they buy up everything. I'm going to expose the full corruption of the banks to you MGTOW men. Those red pill men who are interested in knowing how money is spent, how to save it. We'll be going into very, very deep topics. So let me get into this in a second. So tonight's topic, feminism funded by the Rockefellers to break up marriage and family. Tonight we are going to be talking about one of the world's most powerful families in the world, one of the most elite families of the Illuminati, the Rockefellers. David Rockefeller is an insanely wealthy banker and philanthropist. But David Rockefeller and his family are financial criminals. They are responsible for funding the Nazi Party in the Second World War, and also they have funded the eugenics in the Second World War for the Nazi Party too. They have done a lot of crimes as well with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, but I'm not going to go too far into the conspiracy theories, but these are the actual documents. If you do the research, guys, onto these public documents, you will find out everything what they've done. I'll show you some books afterwards as well. David Rockefeller, when he was alive, has admitted that he used his wealth and his foundation to fund the second wave feminism in the 1960s. Now this is a very sinister program, because it doesn't just stop there with feminism, because as we know, David Rockefeller is very hell-bent, and And all the elites are hell-bent in wanting to have this earth depopulated and looking for ways to erase men and women so the population can be more sustainable for them to control through governments and their central networks. Feminism is an excellent example how the Rockefellers, the Rockefeller cartel, use their power and influence through the mass media and propaganda to control society, to condition men and women through their own Freemason and Illuminati agenda. Through 50 years of feminism, women have lost their ability and loving instincts. Consequently, the family is in disarray. Sexual depravity is rampant, and plummeting birth rates continue to rise in society, and more women are continued not getting married and having families. In the past, a woman's love used to be instinctive and self-sacrificing for her husband and children. A wife would love and cherish her husband and put his needs above her own and the children as well. Relationships in marriage between men and women were very symbiotic. In the heterosexual contract, marriage, female power in exchange for male power was a bond of love and unity back then, when there were traditional values and principles and emphasis on husband and wife relationships. As we see, feminism is a mass indoctrination that has trained women to view marriage as obsolete, oppressive, as a stereotype, and even though it is in a woman's natural instincts to raise a strong, stable family, to have a family unit of masculine and feminine combined to complement each other, now this has become an outdated notion. The best way to control a population is through resources. If you can control who eats, who drinks, and who should be in higher and economical and educational status, then you cause infighting between men and women, always trying to find a role to be more superior in the social and economical hierarchy. And like I spoke in last videos now, women have been socially conditioned from young to view the top 1% men as being more masculine, but really it's not. It's a false notion that's been sold to them through lies. Women, thanks to feminism, have been heavily brainwashed by the media and by the advertising, and they have been encouraged to be shallow, to be materialistic, to be self-serving, to be narcissist, and to only view a relationship as an opportunity. You know, women are opportunists when it comes to relationships. Women are in competition with their friends, they're in competition with their partner, always trying to get the bigger and better deal, because women now do not love, because they've been bombarded with so much materialism, and through fear now, women are always in a fearful position that they need to have more, they need to be better than each other, and this has caused a lot of infighting, shallow, materialistic needs, which has been indoctrinated into many Western women today, and is slowly infiltrating in the East as we speak. Today, women are often encouraged that they should indulge themselves with nights out, have heavy drinking with their girlfriends, and that they do not need a spouse, or they don't even need to have like a strong family or a husband or a strong stable boyfriend. Now these articles, such as having no children, being a career-driven woman, are gospel in feminist column magazines, and this is preached in much of feminism today. As we see today, sex is no longer reserved for love and marriage. Magazines like Glamour and Cosmopolitan urge young women to put out on the first date, to sleep with a guy on the first date. It doesn't matter about being a whore. It doesn't matter about sleeping with men. You should be proud of having sex with multiple men. But this causes a massive consequence. As we see, there is no emphasis on courtship towards marriage. There's no sort of emphasis on when you're dating a girl on a view to get married. And so there's no emphasis on marriage anymore. So women sleeping on first dates or second dates and just sleeping with multiple guys. There's a lot of STDs going around in society now with men and women. We have a massive increase in single parenthood. We have open hypergamy that has completely destroyed the courtship foundation. Now, as we look back 60 to probably 70 years, that many men who wanted to date women, women who liked men, the father, when he was dating a woman, you know, she had a curfew, the father's daughter, you know, and the father had control over his daughter, and she was well educated in family morals. And so when a husband was when a boyfriend was a good provider and he was a decent, honourable man in society, he would approach the father and ask for his permission for him to give his daughter away into marriage for him. That was a traditional courtship. Every relationship back then had a meaning, it had a purpose, it had a morality, it had a strong foundation of reciprocal love. But as we see through this Marxist Illuminati propaganda by the funding of the Rockefellers, this has been completely eroded. Because of feminism, it has unsexed many men now, as they have walked away from their traditional roles of being a provider. Now that being a provider has been stripped away from men and being good, honourable, decent fathers, as 70 years back when men were masculine, they were very traditional, women were traditional and reciprocal in their love for men. Now men have had no other way but to check out of society. Now these elites didn't fucking think about, oh, how's MGTOW gonna... We didn't really contemplate MGTOW coming up from feminism. We just expected through mass brainwashing of women and boys from a young age that men would never be any wiser to female nature. But because of MGTOW, the government did not intend, and these elites did not intend, that men would opt out. They was expecting through the mind control conditioning of like films, through education and many other outlets, that men would become docile and controllable by women. But this is not the case, because like Hammerhand said in his video when he was giving us all a shout out on his video, that many of us men have actually had self-actualizing, and MGTOW is a self-actualizing principle where it's caused many of us men to walk away unconsciously and consciously, but for the betterment of ourselves. And so Hammerhand makes a very good point about having self-actualizing principles, because this is the very core of MGTOW, and this is what feminism and these elites like Rockefellers and flipping Rothschilds would never ever sort of like be able to understand or even anticipate, that a massive collective of men are seeing what's going on in society and have decided to check out. Feminism has deprived many women of having a good, honourable relationship with men, to have a good traditional relationship of being a loving and caring wife. Now that women have bought hook, line and sinker into this materialistic, opportunist, dog-eat-dog society, they no longer view marriage as honourable. And so women have been encouraged to sleep with men on the first date, and so women complain that men see women as sex objects, but men complain that women just see them as like human utilities, human ATM machines, when it's completely been inverted. Feminism has made Western women undateable, unapproachable, due to their selfish, narcissistic, parasitical nature and over-inflated expectations of what they want in men today. The Rockefellers' goal of feminism has been to destroy the family unit through state brainwashing of children, through the media, through propaganda and through education. Many men have fell victim to this comatose indoctrination. The other goals are also to displace men of the role of being a provider in a family, which also destabilises the family unit. Now with feminism, and now that women have had to enter the workforce, when women enter the workforce, you have the value of income. When you have double the labour force, you increase taxation, you rise house prices, you rise the price of the car, food, clothing, and it is now more difficult to raise a family on just one income. It's hardly possible now. Back there 70 years ago, a father, when there was no women in the workplace, not as many, fathers could bring a good income back home to their wives, and it was sustainable. Prices were fixed, everything was regulated in the economy. But now, because all the economy is being deregulated, there's no job security, and now that women have to work as many hours now in the workforce, just as much as men, now it's going against a woman's biology, because a woman is in a conflict of having a career and then being thanked by the feminists, but she leaves the career, she's shamed by the feminists to want to start a family. But really, this is the Rockefellers' agenda. This is the elite's agenda, to not have women starting families, having successful families with men. Society is a complete inversion of what it is. Nothing what we see. The Illuminati have undermined women's natural loving instincts as follows, we'll get into. Through the feminist agenda, or should I say the elitist agenda, this is what they think. Men can no longer be trusted. Men are abusive monsters. Women are victims by virtues of their sex. Women are victims in their private lives, at work, or even in society as a whole. Thus, women must have a sense of grievance and entitlement and rebellion towards men. Women should be selfish, and liberation and freedom for women has resulted in narcissism, and now this has merged together. The Rockefellers have a huge influence through the banking system, through the mass media, and they have been successful in socially conditioning women through soap operas, through magazines, through celebrity TVs, through films, which continues to undermine her ability to love. Women, as they started out many decades ago, could love men more unconditionally. Even though women were hypergamous, everything was kept in check because we had a strict regulation of morality back then. And sometimes, like 70, 80 years ago, families were more Christian back then as well, but there were more traditional values. Society was more moral. But now we've got the LGBT community now that basically gets offended over Father's Day, because basically two lesbians can't actually obviously naturally produce a son or a daughter, and so they want to get rid of Father's Day because it's in tribute to Father's Day. Now, this is no offence to anybody who's homosexual, but basically, children belong with masculine and feminine, and now we can see that, there's been a massive increase in the LGBT community to get rid of the sexes between men and women. I'll tell you another thing now, guys, right? If you do your research, you obviously know that the Illuminati, the elite, worship Baphomet with the goat, with the breasts, and with the male penis. Basically, that's the transgender agenda which they're pushing, because these elites worship Baphomet with the goat, with the breasts and the penis. That's where they've got being transsexual from, to be both, and that's the whole agenda, because they want to do away with the sexes and further cause more division. You see, as I said before, it used to be caused through racism. These elites push for racism and slavery and warfare, but now people are waking up to it now, and we see society with political correctness, identity politics. It's all being pushed by these elites to further divide and conquer us, and control the resources over the population, to really indoctrinate women to be more materialistic, to be more shallow, and to just see men as ATM machines rather than human beings. Now you're wondering, where do I get my information from regarding the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Bilderbergs, the Committee 300, the Round Table? I'll show you. I've got a book on David Icke. It's a 500-page book about the big secret. It talks about all the bloodlines of the politicians, the royal family, the secret societies, where religion came from, where world religions came from. This also talks about the Satanists, the elite Satanists and the elites, child sacrifice. It also talks about the symbolism in cartoons, in our statues, in our flags. So much information where these elite families came from, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, in this here. Another book I've got, guys. People think that, presidents are naturally selected by the public through vote. They're not. And I've got some proof why, because I've got this book on Freemasonry. The 33 Degrees of Freemasonry, the Book of Hiram. This is the philosophy of Freemasonry, how members become initiated and what they talk about in the lodges. And I've also got another book of Freemasonry regarding Inside the World's Secret Society of Freemasons. Now, I've been studying a lot of this esoteric knowledge, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. I don't want to say too much because you might think, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, but I've been studying a lot into Satanism and Freemasonry. It's how it's all connected with our politics in the world today, and how like satanic, like subliminal messages are put into Disney cartoons, they're put into films, you know, and how to watch out for symbolism. And it also tells me about how like the Freemasons have been funding the wars around the world, and the Knights Templar. I know it sounds very conspiratorial, but I've done a lot of research into these books, guys, of Freemasonry, and it's a massive eye-opener. Where the royal family come from as well, you know, the German, and they go back to 6,000 years. You know, it's just absolutely crazy. There's so much information I could tell you guys, but like I say, that's going to be for another topic. When I start my Patreon, that's when I'll probably start talking more about the Rothschilds, doing documentaries, full documentaries, when I've got the film gear set up. So that's the end of my video regarding the Rockefellers Fund in second wave feminism. I hope it's not bored you too much, guys, but I thought I just had to cover this information. And Maggie Alpha 1, thank you very much for the article you sent me. You keep sending me articles, and I'm getting through them to read them, to put more topics together, because you are like a flipping scout for information. Amazing. You've got so much knowledge. You're an encyclopedia of knowledge that you give to me. You help me out doing the topics, which is great. And so, yeah, that's it now. I'm working tomorrow. I normally have weekends off, you know. Weekend Saturdays are like my flipping holy Sabbath, where thou shalt not work. But I said, yeah, I'll do overtime. So I'm working a full bloody day tomorrow, 7/4. So I'm not looking forward to it. So I can't get pissed too much, which is going to be a bummer. But anyway, guys, have a great weekend, whatever you're doing. This is Red Pun Steroids, signing out.